I got a question from Esther. Esther is asking kind of a personal question, although it will apply to all other people. Esther is asking if, according to halacha, a woman is not supposed to study Torah all day long. So how can a woman be connected to Hashem without studying Torah? And also another question, how can a woman make sure that she's surrounded by the holy words of the Torah all day long? Esther is also asking regarding a man that has to work all day long and doesn't have much time to study Torah. How does that apply, and how does he make sure that he is surrounded and full with the words of Torah? So for the first question, first of all, a woman is not obligated by halacha to study Torah, is because in essence, a woman is in a much higher level than a man. A woman is in such a high level, the neshama of a woman is in such a high level that she doesn't need the Torah to be connected to God. A man needs to study Torah in order to connect himself to God. A woman, her essence is so high that she doesn't need the Torah to be connected to Hashem. So a woman, even if she doesn't study Torah, she's still connected to Hashem in a much higher level than what a man is connected. But it doesn't mean that she's not supposed to study Torah, or it doesn't mean that she's restricted in study Torah. So if the woman has time and she's not bound to a job or anything, there's no reason why she should not study Torah. And so much more so, her Torah will be greater, because the fact that she's so connected to Hashem, so it doesn't mean that she doesn't have to study Torah. On the contrary, since if she's not obligated and she's studying, her Torah will be much greater. And as for the question, how can you make sure that you're surrounded with the words of Torah all day long? It's the same answer. A woman can study every free moment that she has. She can study Torah. She can read Tehillim. She can read anything that she wants. She doesn't have to be immersed in deep concept of halacha or mysticism. She can just sit and read Tehillim. She can do whatever she wants. Basically, anything that a woman does will connect herself even greater to Hashem, and that would affect the whole day long. Even though if the whole day long she's busy with doing mundane things, she's still going to be connected and surrounded with the words of the Torah. As long as she keeps a holy environment around her, then she's always going to be connected, and there's nothing going to be around it to divide it. As for a man is obligated in study Torah. And the first question that the soul is asked in the Beis Din of Mala, in the heavenly court, is if she set times to study Torah. And the way it's asked is im kavata itim la Torah. So with a man, it's not necessarily the quantity, it's more the quality. If a person studies 1 hour a day, but it's consistent and it's in the same time, and he completely is immersed in that studying for that hour a day, it is much better than just a person just sitting all day long and just reviewing things and reading things and not necessarily taking it serious. The whole point here is to do it consistent and to do it the main priority. Meaning that if I'm studying from 7 to 8, nothing is going to change that. Not a football game, and not a movie, and not a good business deal, anything. If I set my time to study from this hour to this hour, nothing is going to move it. This is the highest priority. So with a man, the whole thing is quality and not quantity. Of course, the more you do it is better, and especially a man that is becoming closer to Hashem, about tshuva. If it's a person who grew religious and all of his childhood went to yeshiva, he has a very strong foundation, it's a completely different thing. But a person who becomes religious in his later years in life, and he doesn't have any knowledge, then obviously he has to spend more time in studying to learn the foundations and to learn the basic halachot, and to know what to do and what not to do. One needs to study to know what is allowed to do and what is not allowed to do. But on the other hand, it's the quality and not the quantity. Hashem says, it says in the Torah very clearly, Sheshet yamim ta'avod, v'asita kol melachtecha, ויום השביעי שבת להשם אלוקיך. So Hashem is commanding us in the Torah that we're obligated in working. Hashem put us in this world to work. Not to sit and study Torah all day long, even though it's what we want to do, but when Mashiach will come, that's what we're going to do. We're going to sit and study Torah all day long. Now it's the time to work, and we were brought down to this world to work, and in between we have to make sure that we're studying. And the whole point is that a man just needs to what's called likvoa itim Torah, to make sure that he has like a certain time of the day in the morning that he studies, a certain time of the morning that he prays, he goes to work, and he makes himself like an hour at night time to study, or half an hour, or whatever. And the whole point is that during the time that he's working, his whole head will be still immersed in Torah. If he's studying in the morning a little bit and studying a little bit at night, but during the day he's going out to the world and he's dealing business, and his mind is completely onto the business and away from Torah, then he's lacking the point. If a person takes what he studies in the Torah, in that little time that he has a day, but he applies it when he works, meaning that he deals honestly, and he calculates his profits and gives meiser, he gives 10% of his profits, and he takes his money that of his hard work, and he gives it to charity, and he buys holy things that fill in and mezuzahs, and he sends his kids to yeshiva, and he takes his money and he applies it to kedusha, to holiness. That is basically our point in this world. Our point is not necessarily at this point to sit and study in yeshiva all day long. There's a big story, everybody known. The Jews were in the desert for 40 years. What did they do there all day long? They just studied Torah all day long, from morning and to night. And from who? From Moshe Rabbeinu, the biggest rabbi ever. And then when it was time to enter the land, what happened? The whole story with the spies. Moshe Rabbeinu, not on his will, but he sent 10 spies to spy the land. And what happened? When they came back, they said all sorts of stories. No, we can't conquer it. There's giants there. The fruit is weird. They came with all sorts of ideas why they should not come into the land. Why? Why would these spies were the presidents of the tribe. They were like big people. Why wouldn't they want to go into the land? Why would they wouldn't want to do what Hashem commanded them? The reason was because they were so immersed in studying Torah, they had everything coming to them. They had food coming from the sky. They had the clouds of glory washed their clothes. The well of Miriam just gave them water. They didn't have to do anything. Just to study Torah. All day long they studied Torah. Why would somebody want to leave this luxury? Now go into the land and start working the land and plowing the land and seeding and the whole thing. Now you have to do everything. You have to do business. They didn't want it. But the point, that's why they were so severely punished, because they didn't want to do what the actual thing is, what we're supposed to do. So before, in actual, that's what we're supposed to do. We should go to the land and work. We're supposed to go out there and work for a few reasons. The main reason is obviously to make money and support the family. But as long as that money is going to holy things, then the man is doing his purpose. If he buys with his money holy articles, objects, mezuzahs, tefillin, he sends his kids to yeshivas. For Shabbat he buys wine, he buys food. Then the money is being elevated to kedusha. It's taken from the physical aspect of it, and it's being elevated to kedusha, to holiness. Besides that, he takes money, he gives it to charity. So when a person does that, he applies basically the little Torah that he studies, he applies it in acts. He does business straight, he deals honestly, etc., etc., etc. So for a man, it's of course extremely important to study, but it's the quality and not the quantity. As long as there's a good quality and it's done in a consistent way, every day in this to this hour I study, and from this and this hour I have a class, and nothing changes it. And the whole point is to make the Torah studying the main thing, and the work, we have to do it. It says that one has to do his Torah kva. It says that the limud Torah tzrich להיות kva, and the work should be like b'derech agav. One has to work to make money.